love it.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea for you, so it will help you. But
Okay.
of course, it's fine with us. Thank you.
Perfect. So, welcome to Flat for Education. So some of you have seen it a little bit already, but um, Flat for Education is a tool where you can, on one hand, use a notation editor to create scores and to create, use the sheet music. And on the other side, create assignments for your students, for other teachers, just use the assignment features. So I will discuss both, but I'm starting with the first request there was the classes. So when you are logged in, you have the sidebar on the left-hand side. And the second section are the classes. If you click on this section, so for me, I have many classes. Yours might be empty for now. But what you will do is click on create a new class. And from there, you will click on use Moodle. So if you do that, it will give you the configuration URL, the consumer key shared secret, which then you will input in Moodle to do the synchronization. I will send you our help page for Moodle after the call so that you have all the steps listed. But once you copy these into your Moodle, the integration is done. And then it means that you can import all of your Moodle classes directly into Flat for Education, allowing everyone to have access to Flat for Education. So the good thing with the Moodle integration is it synchronizes all the users in a class, and it also brings back all the grades and all the comments back to Moodle once you complete an assignment, you grade something, or work with your students on something. So this dashboard has your classes, you have the active ones, the archived ones. If you archive a class, it will remove the licenses associated to this class, which means that licenses can then be assigned to another class if needed. But it does not delete anything. So just so you know, if you archive, it's just removed, but it's nothing is deleted. And if you open a class, you have inside all the assignments that are posted for this specific class. You have a tab that shows what assignments need to be reviewed. And also you have the list of the people inside of that class. This information you will have the same in Moodle. So we just replicate everything that has all the information that you have in Moodle in here as well. But in terms of information inside of a class, it would be exactly the same as what you have on Moodle. So I will send you the help guide for Moodle. And if you have any questions setting up the Moodle class, let me know and we can discuss this via email. So the second section I want to spend some time on is the score library. Because the score library, it is where you can create scores, import scores, and it is really a big chunk of our notation editor, of our platform. So if you create on new score, can you see my screen properly or should I zoom in maybe a bit? So if you click on a new score, you can either create from scratch or import a music XML or MIDI file. For now, we do not accept PDF imports. So just for you to know, you can only import music XML or MIDI files. So you click on new score. Here you can add a title, and then you have all the different instruments you can choose from. So we have over 200 instruments, so you can really look into different categories, also search by name, and add the instruments as needed. We have on this tab here templates that are pre-made, and these have already many different instruments associated with it. So if you click on the rock group, it also already automatically adds all of these instruments. So you can explore the different templates we have, which can be a faster way to start a composition. And then you create score, and you're all done. The score has been created. So then how the notation software is structured compared to other tools. We have the green top bar, then the white top bar. So the green top bar has all the most the biggest information. Like you have the playback button. So if you input notes and click here, you can play the score. You have the metronome and audio settings, and you also have the MIDI button. If you click on this, you can synchronize your MIDI device. So if you have a keyboard, for example, you can synchronize your keyboard, and then when you play, it will automatically input the notes on the staff. So which can be very convenient. And then on the white top bar, you have all the different sections with the notation tools. So in the note section, you will have the different signs like sharp, flat, the note durations, the slurs, and so on. In the articulations, you will have different features, ornaments, and so on. So I really invite you to look into the different sections when you're looking for specific notation features. For example, you go into the text sections. This is where you will find the lyrics, the Roman numerals, features to add annotations, and so on. So once you start composing, I really invite you to look into these different sections to find the notation feature you're interested in. The easiest way to input a note is really to hover over the staff. So you just hover over and click on the staff. You can also use your keyboard. So if I click on C, it will add a C. We have a keyboard. We have many keyboard shortcuts to use the notation editor. And this last button on the top right allows you to show all of the keyboard shortcuts that we have on the notation editor. So for example, if you're wanting to add a note, you click on this section, add note, and you can see all the different keyboard shortcuts that we have. If you have experience with another tool, or if you're familiar with other shortcuts and want to customize them, you can click on customize, and then any of this can be changed, and you add a new shortcut and you save it, and then you can make it your own. So this is very convenient if you've had used other notation tools in the past. So that's about the note
I'm
input.
sorry, Naomi. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I'm sorry
Yes,
for interrupting. Talking about customization, our
yes,
study program is focusing on traditional music. Is it possible to add custom instrument?
yes, definitely. So when you create a score, I cannot add, yes. So there are two ways to add custom instruments. So first, let me just go back. When you create a score, you have this section on the bottom of all the instruments, custom instruments. And here you can create your own custom instrument. So you will have different sections, options. You will create your instrument, choose different configurations, and so on. And this will allow you to create your own custom instruments with the existing instruments we have. You cannot import your own audio file, for example, for that, but you can play with the settings of our own custom of our own instrument database and create your own configuration for it.
So we need to find a similar sample like that for the audio.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Alternatively, once you are in your score that you've already created, you can open the instrument settings. So it's this button, which is the menu of all the instruments that you have. And you can manage the instruments. And here you have this custom instruments section. And you have the list of your custom instruments here. So I have my harmonica custom, and you can also create one from here as well. But it's the same idea as the other route.
Okay. Okay.
Once you start playing with the custom instruments, if you have any questions, let me know. I will make a note to send you the help page on that as well. So at least you can have all of our guidance, written guidance as well.
Okay.
So if I continue with how to use the notation editor, so I just clicked on this instrument settings. So this is where you can manage all the instruments. It means if you want to remove an instrument, you would click here. You can also replace one, edit it, and really manage all of your instruments. But if you click on an instrument name itself, you can open the settings for this specific instrument. So here I clicked on piano, and here I could change the name of the instrument. I can also change the staves. So here we have two staves. Let's delete one and see what it does. So now that I deleted, my second staff, I only have one. And it's also where I can have access to the tablatures, the Kodai notation, quarter tones, and some additional extra settings. So for example, here, if I set the Kodai notation, I click on this button, click on activate. I will use the hand signs. You have a few settings you can play with as well. And done, it automatically adds the Kodai hand signs for any note that I input. So this is just one of the extra settings that I wanted to show you because it's very convenient and it is done automatically. That can of course be exported. If you need this to be printed, you can print the entire score, you can print some parts. So for example, here you could choose to only print the piano with the hand sign. And you can also export this entire document. When you export, you have many formats available. Of course, you can export to PDF. You cannot import PDFs, but you can export to PDFs. You can also export to audio files, music XML images, and sound trap as well, if it's a tool that you use. In a minute, I will show you how to access this on Google Docs, so on Music Snippet. But for now, I'm staying in this notation editor to show you a few features you might be interested in. If I go to this vocals, so for example, here, I add a few notes, and imagine you're interested in lyrics. If you want to add lyrics, you go to text, lyrics, and here you can add text and it automatically adds the lyrics for you. You can also play with multiple voices, have multiple lines of lyrics. Same when you work with guitars, you can have the tablatures as well, and so on. So it's just to show you that we have many different note inputs with instruments, and they all adapt to their specific writing styles. If I open one of those scores that I had prepared, or I think I removed it. So this one that I had initially prepared in advance, I wanted to highlight the recorder fingerings. So for this one, whenever you input a note, it automatically adds the associated fingering for the recorder. if you want to know how I did that, it would be in the same section as the Kodai notation, so the instrument settings. So you just click on the instrument name. So here it's recorder, and you click on recorder fingering. And so here I selected the soprano, baroque, and clicked on save. You can change the settings a little bit, but this is how you activate the recorder fingerings. It is, again, a very convenient feature, especially if you're teaching younger students or middle school. It can be very convenient as well. And same goes if you export it, if you print it, you can also have printed with the fingerings. And now you might be wondering how I added the note names inside of the notes. So here I have just the note names. In this example here, I have the note names and the notes are all colored in different colors. So to access this, you go to the layout settings. So it's the second most important button. The first one was the instrument settings. Now it's the layout settings. So it's this square between the printer and the zoom in. And if you click on it, you can really choose how your score looks. So you can choose the size of your page, the size of the staff measures, the size of space between the measures, the font, and customize your note heads. So if you click on note heads, I use the boom walkers, which means it automatically color codes all of the notes in the boom walker colors. You can choose to customize your own colors. So I can decide that all the Fs will be in purple and that G will be red, and that's it. So if I do that, only those two notes will be highlighted in a specific color. But here I will add boom markers. I clicked to have the note names added inside of the note. You can choose between ABC, Do, Re, Mi. You can also use shapes and choose between fixed Do and movable Do. So all of these options are in the note head section of the layout settings. So again, once you have this, once you have this, you have the note names and the colors inside. So the last thing, second to last thing I wanted to show you is the Roman numerals. So on the notation editor in the text feature, we have a Roman numeral section, which can help you to automatically add different Roman numerals. You can choose between the degree, quality, inversion. You can really customize it as needed, and you add it very easily. So it's a feature that can become very handy for music theory topics, or if you want to use the notation editor to create your own worksheet or something like that. So I just wanted to show you where it was. The thing is that a score can look in many different ways. It can be something like this, where you have different instruments, different melodies, but it can also be something more with more annotations and guidance for the students. So for example, here it's aimed at a fifth grader, and we use the annotation tool to guide the student. So for example, we tell them, okay, use these specific notes in this measure and start composing a melody. So it is to help the student. And this can also be used as a baseline for an assignment. So I'm trying to show you some different features on the notation editor that you might be interested in and dive deeper once you really start looking into Flat for Education. But the more you look into it and the more you will find the different features that are really interesting to you and to your teaching program. Something else that I almost forgot to let you know is this history button. If you click on it, you have access to the entire version history of the score. So it means that you can go back to different versions. You can also play back different versions. So once you start working with your students on an assignment, or once this tool is really used in a classroom setting, a teacher can see everything that a student has done. So once you work on a composition assignment, let's say your student has the score and is working on it, you can always go into the version history and check what they've done. And if you see that at one point something started to go downhill, you can restore a previous version and tell your student, okay, go back from this version and start again. So it's a good way to always know what's been done, and you can also see if there's been a copy paste, if another person went into the score or anything like this. So it is a very accurate description of what happens on the score. And also, we have an offline saving mode. So it means that if someone's composing, student or teacher, or working on a notation editor, and if you lose network, we auto-save everything that's been done on the score. So if someone comes to you and it's like, oh, I worked on it, but it didn't save, it's probably that they're lying because everything is auto-saved. So it's you should see it in the version history. If you have doubts, you can let us know. We can check in the back end. But typically, 99% of the cases, everything is auto-saved. So if you want to share scores with students, with teachers, with colleagues, you click on share here, and you can send a link to the person you want. So you can also change the privacy settings, a bit like a Google Doc, if you want to make it public, private, only the ones with the link. So all of it is set in this share button. So before I move to the assignments, I'm going to do a quick music snippet break to show you how to add the notation into a Google Doc. So can you still see my screen? Yep. So here's an example of a Google Doc with different pieces of scores added to it. So of course, this can be used in many different ways. The most typical way is teachers creating workbooks or lesson plans. And for example, you have the lesson about rhythm, and you write what it is, and then you add a piece of a score to make a point. Or you can use it for students to to complete exercises. If you print it out for them, you can have staffs without any notes, for example, like I have here, and use it for your students. So how it works is when you go to extensions, so if you didn't install it already, you would go to add-on, get add-on, and then click on music snippet and download the add-on. Once you've done that, you can find it here. So you open music snippet, and on the side here, you can see that this sidebar pops up, and it is your music snippet account, which comes with Flat for Education. So there's nothing you need to do. You would still only need to log in. So here, if you haven't logged in, you wouldn't see this menu, but you would see another menu that says login. And so if you click on New Music Snippet, you can choose between a few options. Let me do the ukulele tablature, and then it will open a notation editor on Google Docs. So here you can add notes as needed. You can add measures as needed as well. You have all the same features as what you have on the notation editor. So you have the notes, tabs, articulations, and so on. You can also play with the layout settings and with the note heads. You can play with the keyboard shortcuts, with the different display modes. And then once you've created what you needed to create, you can add it to the document. And from there, you have a last set of settings. So you can choose the layout to make it bigger or smaller. You can choose which measures you want to import into your Google Doc. So for example, you can, by default, it will add the entire score that you've created, but you can say that you only want measure 1 and 2, and it will only add that. You can have only the tablatures. You can have also hide the time signatures as if you need, and so on. So you can really play with different settings. And once it's done, you click on Add to Document, and it will generate this for you. So then you have it here, and it adds an image of the score into your Google Doc. If you double click on it, you can edit it. So it will reopen the tool, allowing you to edit the music snippet, make some changes, and then you can add to the document again, and we'll add the new version to the Google Docs. So just keep in mind that it adds a picture of your score, and it replaces the screenshot and copy pasting into the document, but it does not allow you to play back directly from the score, just for you to know the difference. Also, if you are in your score library, you have a folder that is called music snippet. So everything you create on your Flat for Education, on your music snippet, on your Google Doc, will be saved in your Flat for Education account in the music snippet section. So you could technically also open a score from Flat for Education, modify it here, and then from music import it here. It will make a lot more sense once you start playing with it. There seem to be a lot of steps involved. It's actually not that complicated. But of course, if any questions come up while you play with music snippets, let me know, and I'm happy to assist. So before I move away of the notation editor and go to the assignments, is there anything, or do you have any questions that I can help you answer?
Okay. So after all of that, is there a guidebook or a user manual for Flat.io so that we can access easily, so we can learn more on our own pace and teach better about
Yes,
Flat.io?
yes. I will send you a PDF presentation after the call as well, highlighting it has many pages, but it's on one slide. You have one feature for the notation editor, and it shows what it does, where to click, and how to access it. And it also links to our help page. So every slide links to another help page. So yeah, I will send this to you so that you can learn at your own pace, because I know
Okay.
we have a lot of
A lot of,
features,
yes, a lot of
which
features.
is the beauty of it, but also the struggle of it. It's we cater to so many different music teaching styles that we need to have all of these features, but it makes it difficult to learn in a 1 hour session. So yes, I will for sure send you this at the end of the call. so that you can go back to the document and learn in your pace.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. Um, sorry, I was just taking a note. So now I will show you our assignment library. So if you click on this button, My Assignments, it opens this page, which is the assignment library. So if you're new to Flat for Education, this still might be empty. But how it works is that it is a database of all the assignments that you create on Flat for Education. So you have 3 sections to it. My assignments, so it's everything I have created. Shared assignments is all the assignments that I have shared or that my colleagues have shared with me. And to be able to share assignments, you need to be in the same school account for Flat for Education. So, for example, all of you would be able to share assignments with each other. And FFE assignments, lack for a better name, we pre-created some assignments for you so that you can start with a few examples. And if you are interested, you can use them on your own. So for example, if I open this bass choir music theory pre-test, I can see that it has different types of questions. I can look at it. I'm like, oh, it looks nice. I like it. I can even open the student preview, which when you open the student preview gives you a student experience. So you can really check the different questions, skip, answer if you need to. So I'm just skipping through because I want you to see how the different questions work. I'm not trying to answer them correctly. I'm just showing you the different types of questions. And then I'm just turning it in. I want to show you that you can directly see what was answered, not answered, and the student would have the same experience for these worksheets. So here they can see that they had this question right, this one was wrong, and it gives them the correct answer. So we have 3 main assignment types. The worksheets, what I just showed you, which is really about creating music theory quizzes. It is either the students need to identify a note, and here, for example, what's this pitch? They would click on the correct answer. Or the other type of question is having the students place the correct answer on the staff. So the opposite question would be place an E on the staff, and the student would have to place the note here. And there are many different types of questions you can generate. I will show that to you in a second. So, for example, if I start directly by creating a new assignment, so you click on New Assignment, Worksheet, and the first section is just adding a name. So new exercise, you can add a subject. So here, music theory. These subjects and grades will just help you to navigate these filters here. So since we don't have a search bar in the assignment library, if you tag your assignments, you can find it again after. Then you can leave instructions, and then you can add all the different questions to your worksheets. So what I just showed you were pitch recognition and construction questions. But you can also do with keys, intervals, chords, scales, rhythm, and symbols. So if I do the scale construction, you can choose the different clefs, you can choose the keys, also the modes, you add the number of questions you want, and it automatically generates the worksheet for you. Then, if you have some questions you don't like, you can delete them. If there are other questions you want to add, for example, this time on the chords, chord recognition, you click there, you will have a different menu because for each category, you will have a different menu based on the type of questions. And then you will click on the different keys, clefs, chord types. You can really customize it to make it to be quite easy or more complex, depending on the levels you need to teach. And then you will have your worksheet. Once you're done, you click on done, and that's it. So you can either create your own, or you can explore the worksheets that have been already created in our shared library, so that if there's one that you like, you just add it to your own library, to your own assignments, and then you can assign it to your students. So the worksheets are really convenient when you want to do exams, quick check-ins, homework, or really have to make sure students understand some very specific key music theory concepts. The two other assignment types that we have use the notation editor, and this one is the only one that does not use the notation editor. So the two other assignment types that we have are performance and composition. So if I start with the performance assignment, this one is really about having your students perform a piece. So they can be singing, they can be clapping in their hands, they can be playing an instrument. But the idea is that you give them a score and they record themselves. So here, you add a title. Again, you tag your assignment. So here, if I do band 6, and you add a score for your student to perform. So if you haven't created the score in advance, you can always click on new score and create it on the spot. Otherwise, you add any score. I will do the solfège melody. I'm not sure what it is, but I hope it's a good score for this example. You leave instructions. You can also add a link to another score, to a Google file, to a YouTube video, to any other types of instructions you might have on Moodle. You can link them directly in the instructions as well. And then you can play with the audio settings, and then you're done and you have created this exercise. So if I open the student preview, just for you to see how this can work for a student, they start the assignment. On the side, there's a sidebar here. So they have their instructions. If you link a YouTube video, it will be on the side here as well. And the students, everything they need to do is click on this microphone. It will prompt them to allow the microphone, and then they have the metronome that sets, and then it starts recording. So you have the sound wave here that records them performing the score. So this is a good example of an update we're currently working on. So for now, how the performance assignment works is that you can only have one instrument, because for now you don't have, you cannot choose the instruments your students perform or have backtrack options. But within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, max 1 month, you will be able to assign specific instruments to your students, and they will also be able to hear backtrack options. So for example, in a month, a student who needs to sing the choir soprano will be able to sing this while hearing the choir bass in the background, if needed. It's not mandatory, but it will be an option. That's possible. In another example, if you use this for a multi-instrument settings, you will be able to have your students choose the instrument they will perform while having the others play in the background, which can be very helpful for the performance. For now, we only have audio, so it records audio, within a month, we will also record the video so that teachers can check the posture of the students and make sure it's the student who's performing. But these performance assignments are really a great way for students to practice playing an instrument or practice playing with in specific rhythms or just getting familiar with, the performing styles.
Naomi, sorry for interrupting.
Yes.
Is it possible to transcribe an audio or a video through notation?
You can add recordings to a score, if that helps, but you cannot play an audio from somewhere and it will not automatically transcribe the notes on flat, if that's what you're asking.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But if needed, you can always add an external audio source to a score. So for example, here, if I add manage recordings, I can, by default, the recording here is my instrument, but I can add a YouTube video or an MP3 file to a score, and the score will be populated with this external audio. But again, it will not transcribe it automatically.
Okay, thank you. Please
Um,
continue.
Excuse me, Nomi.
yes?
Yeah, I'm apa? Any question? How can student access their class? How can students access their class in examination?
So once you synchronized
Ah,
the Moodle class,
oh,
all the students will automatically be rostered in Flat for Education. And the easiest way to have your students access Flat for Education is to post something in the class. So you can post an assignment or a link, but the easiest would just to post an assignment to the class. So for example, if you're in the class through Moodle, typically when you use Moodle, through Moodle, you will create a new assignment and link something that you have created on Flat for Education. And once the first assignment is posted, the students will receive a notification on Moodle and they will do everything through the Moodle portal. So they will not leave and have to sign up on Flat for Education separately. Everything will be on Moodle. So I would suggest trying to synchronize your class, posting an assignment, and if you see that students do not get a notification or cannot access, let me know and we will check the settings together or see why they haven't received access. Did that answer your question?
okay, thanks.
So the last assignment type, yes, this is where I was. Sorry, I lost track of where I was. The last assignment type we have is composition. I kept this one for last because it's a bit the largest topic and an assignment type that hides many different other assignment types. So if you click on this composition assignment, again, you add a title and a description and you tag your assignment. But this one really allows your students to work directly on the notation editor. So for example, if you remember this score that I showed you earlier, I will be using this as a baseline for this example that I'm showing you. So when you work with the composition assignment type, you can choose to ask your students to start from scratch. So you would select new score, meaning that they will have to create a new score, select their instruments, and really start with 0. You can also add a template for them. So here I'm adding the template that I showed you earlier, the 5th grade composition assignment. And this will allow the students to directly work on this template. We also have shared writing, which in 2 weeks will become its own assignment type. So it will be removed from this menu and will be a 4th assignment type. But shared writing is a Google Doc for composition, where you can group students and have them all compose in the same score. So you can do groups of 2, groups of 10, groups of however you want. But this grouping system is currently being fixed and will be live in 2 weeks. Anyways, template. I linked my template. And here there are 2 extra settings that I wanted to highlight because they really show that the notation editor can be adapted to any age, any level, and any type of assignment. Because if I pull this back, you have many features. So it can get overwhelming for a younger student to have all of that. So within assignments, you can decide to remove everything and leave only 1 or 2 notation features that are interesting for your student. So for example, here, I will create a new toolset allowing students to only add notes. So what I will do is allow my students to add notes and allow my students to add half notes, quarter notes, and that's it. And I save this. And I will also lock the template to show you this feature. Done. And you will see that this score will look very different to what I showed you earlier. And so for every type of assignment that you create on the composition type, you can really customize the notation editor. If you're working on a Roman numeral thing, you can only have the Roman numerals. So here, for example, if I zoom in, you see that the only option I have is half note and quarter note. And when I zoom in here, you have all the notes, articulation, everything. So it is much less crowded on this interface here. And also, so I allowed my students to add notes. So here, if they can add notes, but I also locked my template, meaning that these notes are now in blue and I cannot modify it. So you can at the same time lock a template, meaning that every note that's inputted cannot be changed, but at the same time allow them to add notes wherever there's a rest, so that you can also control what the students can do on the notation editor without risking to mess up what you've already created. So here, this piece really has almost no notation feature, which is good for a beginner. And since they cannot change this, if I try to delete, modify, it will not move. So that's a great example of how to modify the notation editor for specific use case and specific teaching goals. Another example of how this could be used is, for example, if you are teaching the concept of transposition. We have this button here, which automatically transposes. So for example, if I take this, I select this, and I click on the transposition button, you can choose to automatically transpose. But this is also something you could block potentially in the tool sets. If you're teaching the concept of transposition, you can assign work to your students, but keep all the buttons except this one. So at least you're sure that your students will think about how to transpose and not use this this button. So anyways, this is all to say that the notation editor can be adapted for any composition assignment. So you can make it easier, you can trick students, and whenever students work on an assignment, you have access to the version history, to all the submission history, so you can really see who did what, when it was done, when it was modified, and which gives you great visibility into your students' work. So I know I gave a lot of information on the notation editor, on the assignments. I tried to be as broad as possible while still giving a few specific examples. I know that I will follow up with resources for you to check on your own time, but I know you might have questions, and maybe in the last 5 minutes that we have, if you have any questions or if there's anything I can help you with already, let me know. Otherwise, there's still so many things I can show you. So if you don't have any questions, I will continue to speak. So it's really on if I can address something right now.
I think from our team that's all, and maybe we will try and ask if we find if we don't know something in the user manual after we get access for flat.io.
Okay. You don't have access yet?
We don't currently have access for it.
Okay. Makes sense. So I will send all the information. Either I'll send them to Astrid or I'll just email you because I think I have your contacts now. So in this case, I think I'll just email it to you directly. So if you have questions, you can then directly answer to me. And then if there's anything else you need for the account setup or for using Flat for Education, don't hesitate to let us know.
Okay.
Astrid, is there anything else we needed to cover today?
No, I think it should be fine. Just can you let me know when you are going to start your program? You told me in July.
Ya, tanggal berapa Bu Shirley? Program
kita itu tanggalnya belum pasti, tapi yang pasti itu pertengahan bulan Juli.
Oh, Juli ya. In the, we don't currently have an exact date, but we think it's in mid of July.
Okay. Okay, so in any case, I think it's possible